İngilizce kanalı çeviri. İngilizce kanalı soundcheck. İngilizce kanalı. İngilizce kanalındayım. İngilizce kanalı. English channel. Soundcheck English channel.
So sorry, just give me 2 minutes. Çok pardon, çok özür dilerim. Yardımcı olabilir misin? Şunu tutabilir misiniz?
Şu an geliyor mu? Yani tamam, Türkçe kabinden geliyor mu? Bunu sağlıklı yönlendirirseniz en azından. Peki İngilizcemiz geliyor mu?
İngilizce duyabiliyor musunuz? İngilizceyi duyabiliyor musunuz? İngilizce kanalı. İngilizce kanalı duyabiliyor musunuz? Soundcheck. Soundcheck English channel. İngilizce kanalı duyabiliyor musunuz?
İngilizce de var. Tekrar bir kontrol edin lütfen. Normalde şu an basın bilgisayarine Farsça geliyor şu an. Tamam, İngilizce'de bakalım hemen hızlıca. İngilizceyi kontrol edebilir miyiz?
İngilizce kanalı soundcheck. İngilizce kanalı duyabiliyor musunuz? İngilizce kanalı duyabiliyor musunuz? İngilizce ikinci kanal duyabiliyor musunuz? İngilizce ikinci kanal duyabiliyor musunuz?
Bu da 4. Dil verebiliyormuş o tarafa.
Geliyor mu şu an size? İngilizceyi alamıyorsunuz basın bilgisayarından.
English channel. English channel. English channel soundcheck. English channel soundcheck.
Kürsüden. Tamam, ilgileniyorum.
I'm gonna be here off the stage. I'm not gonna be in his shot. Yeah. Şunu şuraya bırakabilir miyim?
Who is for the
IRB.
the latest one.
RIRB is the first one. The last one? Last one, perfect. Okay, that's fine. Perfect, thank you.
I will let you know as soon as we're ready. I know. I'm gonna push them.
Hangisi Türkçe, hangisi şey? Ben orada tamam. Flor'dan hangisi olacak?
Çok özür dilerim.
Şimdi ben konuşurken tercüme gelecek mi bakalım. Arkadaşlar flor takılıysa eğer flor takılıysa şu anda tercümeyle birlikte geliyor mu ses? Tamam mıdır? Tercümeli konuşabilir miyim? Biraz sesini yükseltebilir miyim? Teşekkürler. Tamamız. Tamamız. İngilizce almak
English channel sound check. English channel sound check. English channel sound check. English channel sound check. English channel sound check. Sound check. English channel sound check. Can you hear me? English channel sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Şimdi tercüme takılı olan kameraman arkadaşlar, ses tercümeden ne geliyor? Evet.
İngilizce kanalı çeviri ses deneme. İngilizce kanalı çeviri ses deneme. Ne oluyor? Tamam, Türkçe kanalından çıkıyorum. Duymuyoruz diyorlar. Çeviri ses deneme. Sound check.
Şöyle anlatmak istiyorum. Flor sesi başka bir sene verdiler ya abi. Biz de buradan Türkçe'ye verdik abi. Şimdi abim, bakın anlatıyorum. Abim Türkçeden, kürsüden konuştuğu zaman içeriden çeviri olmazsa ikisinden de Türkçe gider. Yani abimin sesini duyarlar Flor'dan. İngilizce konuşacak bakan. Şimdi bakan Bey İngilizce konuştuğu zaman İngilizce çıkış, Türkçe çıkış yapacak ya içeriden. Evet. O zaman sesler birbirine karışmayacak. İçeriden tercüman sesini duyacaklar. Tamam. Şu anda içeriden çıkış yapan olmadığı için ikisinden de röleden çıkış olmadığı için üst üste Çıkış yapalım şu an.
Birisi İngilizce konuşabilir mi?
2 dakikamız alır ya.
Tamam. Bir test alalım.
All right, we're just going to run through a little test to make sure that the simultaneous translations are working efficiently. Moving forward, the Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran will be holding a press briefing here, and we just need to make sure that the simultaneous translations are working according to how we expect. Okay, it seems like we've sorted it out. Yes? Okay, so we have the Farsi translations that have been approved. Do we hear the Turkish translations by any chance? Speaking over me, the simultaneous Turkish translations. Yes, we're continuing to test out the simultaneous translations. We want to ensure that this press briefing goes according to plan, seamlessly. As we know, this is a very important press briefing for the international community following the latest developments in the Middle East. Okay. So we do understand that we're hearing both of the simultaneous translations at the same time. Over the speaker at the moment, we hear Turkish and Farsi at the same time. The level is not aligned, I'm being told. Okay, it seems like we've sorted it out. Yes, we are at the press briefing of the foreign. Okay.
Tamam, problem yok. Tamam. Şunu soralım mı kendilerine? Tamam anlaştık. Tamam. Rahatsız. İsterseniz siz genel sponsorlar bilgilendirme yaparsanız.
Test. Members of the press, thank you for being with us here today. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. I'd like to thank you for your patience. We are going to begin in about 1 minute's time, so please bear with us in the meantime. Thank you.
Hadi görüşürüz. Ankara'yı da uyar abi. Tamam, burası tamam. Okey. Okey, tamam.
I'm announcing him now. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Abbas Araghchi, is on his way to the conference hall to hold a press briefing following the latest developments in the esteemed minister's country. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Abbas Araghchi, has arrived in the conference hall taking place in Istanbul to hold a press briefing following the latest developments in Iran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad to be with you this morning. Actually, we invited you yesterday for a briefing on the latest developments on the ground and, of course, on diplomatic process. Because I came here from Geneva, where we had our first ministerial meeting of Iran E3, and then I had here yesterday lots of useful, important meetings with the foreign ministers of our region, and we discussed about different initiatives and ideas existed for a peaceful settlement of this question. But as all of you know, we suddenly faced with the aggression by American forces to our nuclear facilities. The Islamic Republic of Iran condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The US military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives. The US act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect a state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran and to hold the administration in Washington accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law. The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evident bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security, interests, and people. Thank you very much.
We will now be taking questions. We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Sayın Bakan, müzakere
Distinguished Minister, are the doors for negotiation still open? Can you hear me now? Distinguished Minister, the question is as follows. Is the door for negotiations still open?
Interpreter, please speak.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir? In the English channel, can you hear me?
Translate real quick for my colleague. He's asking if there are still room for negotiations moving forward.
Arapça olarak diye sorabilirim eğer Arapça biliyorsa.
It's all right now. You can translate is okay.
Türkçe mi? Sayın Bakan Ahmet Gannam yine Televizyon Arabi. Müzakerelere hala kapı açık mı görüyorsunuz? Tahran'la
Is the negotiation door still open? Did you contact Tehran? What kind of damage has been incurred on the nuclear facilities? Is there any intermediary country like Turkey, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar? Are you continuing your such activities of mediation? How do you see the process? Thank you.
Been in touch with Tehran, of course. I still do not have exact information about the level of damages, but I don't think it matters how much damages have been made. Attacking a nuclear facility by itself is an unforgivable violation of international law and should be condemned. Yesterday, as I said, I had discussion and talks with a number of foreign ministers of the region. Almost all of them are very much concerned and interested to play a role to end this aggression by Israel, of course. They were worried about a possible attack by the United States, but yesterday we were all talking about how to stop the Israeli aggression. Well, of course, the door for diplomacy should be always keep open, but this is not the case right now. My country has been under attack, under aggression, and we have to respond based on our legitimate right of self-defense. And we will do that as long as needed and necessary.
We'd now like to take a question from Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much, Minister. So you say that you need to respond right now, but we know that Iranians are known for their talents in negotiations, in diplomacy and trade. What would be the conditions after responding for Iran to come back to a negotiation table, maybe with the US as well? And Turkey has been offering that Ankara can mediate for a trilateral between Turkey, US, and Iran. What would be your response to that? Because right now the US is technically involved in this conflict. Thank you.
Well, I think it is irrelevant to ask Iran to return to diplomacy because we were in the middle of diplomacy. We were in the middle of talks with the United States when Israelis blew it up. And again, we were in the middle of talks a negotiation with Europeans happened only 2 days ago in Geneva, when this time Americans decided to blow it up. So we were in diplomacy, but we were attacked militarily. So it was not Iran, but the US who betrayed diplomacy. They betrayed negotiations. When at the middle of negotiations with us, they gave green light to Israelis, if not instructed them to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. I think they have proved that they are not men of diplomacy, and they only understand the language of threat and force. And this is very unfortunate. The United States showed that they have no respect to United Nations Charter. They have no respect to international law. They have no respect to any international law regarding, managing the world and facing challenges of the world. There is no red line that they have not crossed. And the last one, and the most dangerous one, happened only last night, when they crossed a very big red line by attacking nuclear facilities. I don't know how much room is left for diplomacy. We are now calculating the damages. And as I said, the damages are not only for our nuclear facilities. The damages are for the United Nations Charter. It was not only Iran's facilities which was bombed, it was also the United Nations Charter. It was also non-proliferation regime and NPT, which was bombed last night by Americans. And it was the rule of law and international law which was bombed. So now we have to see how much room is left for diplomacy, and we will decide.
I'd like to hand over to TRT World.
Mr. Minister, the US President Donald Trump warned that Iran must now make peace, otherwise the future attacks, he says, would be far greater and much easier. So how is Tehran responding to that threats from Washington? Thank you.
I think it's not up to Iran to respond to that. The whole international community should respond of such a clear threat against the United Nations Charter. Iran has done nothing wrong. We do not understand why Iran should be attacked for a false accusation that Iran is seeking nuclear weapons. It's now more than 20 years that we are trying to prove that our peaceful nuclear program is in fact peaceful and would remain peaceful. We negotiated for a long time with the so-called P5+1, and we came to a deal which the whole world celebrated as an achievement of diplomacy. And then it was the US who withdrew from that deal and reimposed their sanctions and restarted their threats. Again, we were negotiating with the same administration. Then all of a sudden they decided to attack us, first by Israelis, then by themselves. And now they are threatening us for more attacks. So it's not up to Iran, but it's up to the international community to condemn this, to prevent this. Otherwise, there would be nothing left for the international law, for the security at the world level, The Security Council should play its role, should play its responsibility to condemn and prevent these kind of threats. We will certainly defend our interest. We will certainly defend our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, and our people. And I'm so glad that our people are now fully understand what injustice they are doing against the Iranian people. They are united and in solidarity with the government, and we stand firm against any aggression.
Next, CNN Türk.
Mr. Minister, how do you assess the West's stance on Israel massacres? No one seems to mention Israel's allegedly illegal nuclear weapons. The German Chancellor even said Israel is doing the dirty work for us. So what is your response? Thank you.
Well, what should I say? You said everything. That Iran is under attack by a nuclear-armed superpower and a nuclear-armed regime. And Iran, as you know, is a non-nuclear-armed country. That should be certainly condemned. If not, the whole non-proliferation regime would be undermined and would be defeated. Iran is a committed member of NPT. But NPT is not able to protect us. So why a country like Iran or other countries who are interested to have a peaceful nuclear energy should rely on NPT for their peaceful activities? It is very unfortunate that Israel is doing, as the German Chancellor called, a dirty job. And by the way, they supported that dirty job. It's a shame. They know that Israel is doing a dirty job and they support it, and they give it every right to do it, and they call it defending itself. It's really a shame. Pardon? Well, I think I'm not in a position to reveal what we are going to do in response to what Americans did last night. I just talked about the fact that NPT failed to protect Iran from and its peaceful nuclear program. And this is a serious challenge.
Next, we'd like to take a question from IRIB. IRIB, if I can get a question from IRIB.
Yılmaz Farlar, Türker Gazete, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nden çıkan gazete.
I'm from a Turkic newspaper and also representing Net News Agency. It is indicated that China is supporting Iran. How do you evaluate its deterrence power vis-a-vis USA and Israel? And can we learn your expectations about your relations with the Russian Federation?
Well, there was a problem with the translation, or I think with the device, it doesn't work properly. I understood the last part of your question. Well, I'm going to Moscow this afternoon, and I have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow morning. Russia is a friend of Iran, and we enjoy a strategic partnership, and we always consult with each other and coordinate our positions. Russia has been a part and the participants of JCPOA, so they have been always a party to nuclear negotiations. And even in the past 2-3 months that we were negotiating with the United States, we always briefed our Russian friends about the latest about any progress or lack of progress in our talks. Well, I will have serious consultations with the Russian president tomorrow, and we continue to work with each other. Russia is also a permanent member of the Security Council, and we know that they were trying, together with China, to introduce a resolution to the Security Council for the cessation of hostilities. Obviously, now the situation has been changed, and I will have discussion with them that how it should be proceed.
The final question from IRIB, if we can hand over the microphone to the gentleman right there. Thank you.
خسته نباشید آقای عراقچی. عرض به خدمتتون که دیروز آقای اردوغان صحبت‌هایی داشتن در مورد میانجیگری، فکر می‌کنید نقش ترکیه در این رابطه به چه ترتیب خواهد بود؟
Thank you. Yesterday, President Erdogan mentioned a mediation instrument. Can Turkey handle such a diplomacy or mediation activity?
اردوغان رئیس جمهور محترم ترکیه داشتم. هم ترکیه
I had very productive meetings with the President of the Republic of Turkey yesterday, and I also had contacts with some of the countries of the region. Some of the countries of the region, such as Turkey, are indicating that they could be mediating so that the attacks from Israel could stop. I do believe that I'm going to start some actions and discussions about this to prevent this American aggression. Turkey very definitely has condemned the Israeli attacks, and also the countries of the region have also condemned these attacks. Now all the countries of this region and the Islamic countries are condemning the massacres and the killing of Israel. We, as members of the OIC and the foreign ministers, we had a special meeting on the situation in Iran. Turkey was the chair of this session, and in relation to condemning Israeli attacks, a statement was shared to end this attack, and they indicated that they were on our side. The attack last night was a big murder. It was not just an attack against the Iranian people, but also the laws and the provisions of the United Nations were also violated. And the NPT was also damaged. Thus, this was a big blow to international security and to peace by America. We believe that the United Nations should see this as a threat. The behavior of America is threatening the world peace, and it is also a serious bottleneck for the international system. And we have important problems and pain in our region because of this, creating an important damage. The attack last night showed once again that the Zionist regime of Israel has not actually reached its targets and aims in Iran, and they have been harmed, and they have actually been in a crisis because of the heroic defense of Iran. And vis-a-vis this defense, they have received support from America. And this direct intervention of America is actually to save the Zionist regime, and maybe to save the prime minister specifically of the Zionist regime. This was the reason why America acted this way, and this shows that the White House is under the influence of this individual called Netanyahu, and this is a shame for the all American citizens. We continue to defend our country in a heroic manner. Our armed forces are ready. Our people with high level of self-confidence and with high level of motivation is ready to defend itself. The Iranian people's national honor has been damaged, and to win this back, they will defend themselves. We will never take a step back from our own law, from our honor, from our territory, and from our people.
Artürk.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much for doing this. And I'll come from Habertürk and Bloomberg HT. You said attacks at nuclear facilities are red line, and you are calculating your response. So here is the question. What are the options? Are you going to retaliate at US bases in the region, or are you going to considering to close the Strait of Hormuz? And one more question as well. 2 times while you are at the table of negotiation, Israel and US attacked your soil. So do you still have the same level of trust to Western diplomacy? Thank you.
There are a variety of options available to us, and that's it. We never trusted Western countries when we negotiated them, and there are now even more reasons why we shouldn't trust them at all. Of course, the way for diplomacy should be always remain open. But, as I said, we are not in the situation right now to decide how to engage in diplomacy once again and with whom. So let's wait for our response first. And when the aggression is ended, we decide how to engage in diplomacy once again.
Next, over to NTV.
Mr. Minister, thank you. I would like to ask a quick question. You had many dialogues with Mr. Steve Witkoff, the US representative, during the negotiations. Did he call you after the attack? Who you talked with? Did you ever talk with any Western countries or United States? Did they call you? Thank you.
Well, my talks with Mr. Witkoff was indirect through the Omani foreign minister as intermediator, to whom I'm very grateful. And when the talks were stopped because of the US aggression, we are still receiving messages from Americans through different channels, Oman in particular, and there are also others who are passing the messages of the United States to us. And if needed, we respond to those messages through intermediators. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I think we are done.
Yes, we've come to the end of that press briefing. We'd like to thank the Foreign Minister for holding that briefing after the latest developments in his country, Iran, and in the wider Middle East region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you indeed.